Hello there everyone and welcome to my channel UK Fusion. This channel is going to be dedicated to all things fabrication and welding. We're going to be doing some reviews of some machines such as this one, seeing if they perform, are they worth the money, will they do what they say they can do, and then we're going to move on to some tutorials both for beginners and more advanced welders, both in the MIG, the stick, the TIG, the carbon steel, stainless steel, aluminium, you name it. We'll put a video up and try and help you along the way with it. Why have I chosen to do this channel? Well, it's something I've been wanting to do for a while because I feel there's a gap in the market for some UK content. A lot of the welding content you get out there is American based, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I have watched countless American videos, tutorials trying to help me along the way when I've been learning how to do things. If I've got a 60 weld test coming up the next day, guarantee it'll be an American video I'm watching at night. So nothing wrong with the American videos, and thank you very much for all the American welders posting the videos that have helped us along so far. But I do think there is a gap in the market for some UK content. Things are slightly different what we do in the UK to America. For instance, they do a lot of stick welding with 6010s. Brilliant rod, I've used them. However, you don't use them a lot in the UK. It's not something that many people have heard of. If we were doing a root run, we'd be using something like a 7016, which there isn't a lot of content for. So that's just one example of why I think some UK content would be valuable. Also, when setting the machines up, the American machines and all the tutorials, they'll tell you it's so many volts and so many inches per minute on the wire speed. Our machines aren't set up that way. They're set up in meters per minute usually. There are options to change it, but so you watch an American tutorial and it's 300 inches per minute. So then you're on your phone trying to convert it into meters per minute. So hopefully some content which is UK based might help some people a little bit anyway. And why have I chosen to do this channel now? Well, at long last, we've finally taken delivery of this machine here. This is the latest, all singing, all dancing Fronius welding machine. Been waiting for it for a few months now. This is the iWave AC/DC 400i Multiprocess Pro. We've kitted it out ourselves, well, we've spec'd it up ourselves, so we've had pretty much every optional extra on there. It really is a nicely built machine. It can do TIG, AC/DC, it can do MIG, it can do stick, and I dare say it can do robotic process as well, which is not something we're really interested in. But so we're going to be doing a good detailed review of that and seeing, was it worth the money really? One thing I will say is we bought this machine. It hasn't been lent to us. We're not sponsored. We've bought it, it's ours. So one thing you will get from this is you're going to get an honest review. If this turns out to be a bag of rubbish, we'll tell you it's a bag of rubbish. If it turns out to be the best thing since sliced bread, you'll know about that too, and hopefully it'll help you if you're thinking about buying a machine like this. I know there's not a lot of content on this machine on the internet at the moment, so quite happy to be one of the first posting about it. Okay, so I'll give you a quick look around this machine now. Just one thing to notice about it is it's a multi-process machine, which means it's got a lot of multi-process accessories and wires and bits and bobs hanging all over it. And although I have had sort of arms added on here to carry the cables, I think you'll agree, it looks quite messy. I've got a bit of OCD that way. I like things to look all nice and tidy and all tucked away. So I think it does look quite messy at the moment. So that's something we're going to address straight away. And if you look at the back, you'll notice there's nothing at the back. Now, I've got to give a shout to Fronius for this because they were not happy me having the machine this way. Basically, I didn't want the trolley. The proper trolley for this welder comes out a lot further, it comes out at the back, and you've got two gas bottles on the back, one for running the TIG, one for running the MIG. I didn't want it. One reason is I quite like to have my machines pushed right up to a wall so that people aren't bashing past and knocking these cables off all the time. I like it nice and tucked out the way, and my gas bottles often stay in a corner away from the welders, so I don't need a space for those gas bottles. So I purposely asked for the basic cart with no gas bottle attachment on the back. As I said, Fronius weren't happy about sending it out like this because this has got nothing to mount to, so at the moment it is a bit unstable. But I said no, that's the way I want it. I am going to make my own custom back for this to tie it all in and support it, but not gain that extra, you know, 200, 300 mil of a gas bottle sticking out the back. So that will be addressed shortly, but that's a quick look round the Fronius Multiprocess Pro. And if you join me again in a few minutes, we'll have a look at this, see if we can tidy up a bit, and then move on to the in-depth review. Okay folks, we're back with the Fronius. All my modifications have fitted. They fitted quite nicely, quite pleased with them. I'm going to walk you around the machine, show you what I've done, why I've done it, and then we're going to go into the build of the machine, the spec, and discuss that. Okay, so this is how the Fronius is looking now. A little bit more tidy than it was before. Like I say, I've got a bit of OCD, and I do not like cables hanging around all over the place. Everything has a place and it should be in it. So there we go. That's what we've done to it. Okay, so we'll start with the back. As I said before, Fronius weren't very happy that I didn't want the Cart Pro, I think they call it, to go with this welder. I've just gone for the basic cart with no gas bottle attachment on the back, which made this piece, the wire feed mount, quite unstable because it needed these 3-4 pins to mount to the back in order to stabilize it up. But as you can see, that is now rock solid. Really pleased with how that's gone on. I've added in, obviously there are some air vents behind here, and even though there's a gap, I have added in these louvers into the sheet metal part just to allow a bit more airflow through. And I was quite pleased I was still able to access the cables behind and plug all those in, etc. yeah, and that's not worked out too bad. Okay, moving round. Okay, on this side, as you can see, I've mounted this plate here, which is just something to try and tidy the hose pack up a bit, the interconnection, because I've had a 10-meter interconnection fitted to this machine to allow us to, well, that'll allow us to get pretty much anywhere in our little shop, from one end to the other, along with a 5-meter torch. I think it's about 16 meters long, this workshop, so we shouldn't be far off getting everywhere we need to. But that's wrapped around quite nicely. That's a bit more luck than judgment, to be honest. That's wrapped round just perfectly, really. Still allows us to move this side to side if we need to, so it's not too tight. So yeah, that's worked out well. I've made these boxes, box holders, to go in the middle, because these are just little cheap boxes from the bargain store around the corner, and really useful for keeping all your little tidbits in, you know, and if they're closer to the machine, all the better. So we've got one there for the MIG parts and one for the TIG parts, slotting there quite nicely. Covered up the Fronius badge, but hey ho, can't have everything. Yeah, and then this one now, you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. I was a bit unsure about making this modification, but I needed something to do with that side, and I got a bit carried away on the SolidWorks, and I drew it in and I've gone for it. But these are just some solvent weld PVC pipes I've made myself some rod holders out of, so I can have 5 different TIG wires down the side there ready to go. Most common ones, you know, the steel 308 stainless, just things you're going to reach for all the time. I'm thinking of making some 3D printed dividers in here as well, so I can have it split into 3. So I can have like your 1 mil, 1.6, 2.4, just a few of each in there, just so you've got each rod you need on a regular basis just at hand. So yeah, that's there. And if you did want to take one out and swap it out, it can come out quite easily. Just a slot in the back there, slotting those holes in the back there, dropping these half holes there, and yeah, handy. Just a little bit long, that's what annoys me about them. That's messing with my OCD a bit, but hey ho. And the fact that the supply company gave me 9 end caps when I needed 10. So there's one there, to be continued. So yeah, that's pretty much the modifications I've done to the chassis, to the trolley of the machine. Maybe I should speak now a bit about the spec of the machine and why we've gone for what we've gone for. They're quite a complex machine to order. They're complex all round in everything, but to order one is not straightforward. You don't just go to a shop and say, I want a Fronius iWave, please. Can I have it next week? It doesn't work like that. They have to be built. And it's like ordering a new car. The amount of options you can get on these things is unreal. And to be honest, the people you speak to at the supplier you're going to buy them from don't really understand it either. I don't even know if Fronius do fully. So, but the best thing to do is the place you're going to buy it from, they've got to speak to Fronius, and Fronius have literally got to build these through configurators and things to make sure they all go together. I had a few issues when I ordered this one. I mean, this is one of the first iWave multi-processes in the country, I think. And I don't think there's all that many about the world so far. So it's quite a new thing for Fronius, and they did struggle a bit getting the configuration just right. It had to go back to Fronius at one point. It came and it was all, well, I had a box of bits basically. There was wires, there was circuit boards, and no, I phoned them up and I said, look, I can't be putting this together with circuit boards and drilling holes in a brand new machine. And they were quite confused by that. They said, no, you shouldn't be doing that at all. I don't know why it's come like that. But fair play to Fronius. They sent a guy out straight away. He came and had one look at it and said, right, we need to get this back to Milton Keynes. They paid for the transport, they picked it up, and they've done everything they needed to. And I think it was quite complex for them in Milton Keynes as well. I think they were speaking to Austria regularly, because this machine hasn't been built so many times, and things, they don't quite know the configuration. So I think they've actually had to engineer bits of software and components and things to get this package working properly. But well, hopefully now they've done it once, they know what they're doing, and you shouldn't have those problems in the future if you were thinking of buying one. Spec wise, what have we gone for on this? There's quite a few optional extras. So it's obviously the 400 AC/DC power source. I think it's called the CU1000 water cooler. But sort of optional extras I've had on it. This is an optional extra. This usually just comes blank. There's various different ones you can put on, from one that's just 2 knobs to this one, which I've gone for, the standard, which has got a bit of an LCD display. My thinking there was, I don't really want to be messing with this LCD screen with dirty gloves on and things. As little as possible I want to mess with that. So I had this put on it, and you can make quite a few adjustments. Pretty much all the adjustments you can make from here once you understand what the buttons do. So I think it was quite an expensive part. I think that was getting on 500 quid, but if you think about it, if you mess up a £2 screen, 500 quid set of buttons up there to avoid that is not, it's not bad money really. I'm glad I went for that option. Torch wise, I think we've had the 5 meter, or about 4.8 I think it comes out at. This is the 500 amp torch with the multi-lock head, and this display here is called a Job Master. So you can change pretty much everything you need to. You can change your wire speed, your thickness, your arc length, the dynamic. Well, that's wire feed, and then you can use your job steps as well. So if you've got a particular job that you do quite often, you can just put it straight on job 1, job 2. And where I've found that, I haven't tried it on this one, but on the Lorsch over there, where I've found that useful is when you're stuck inside a frame and you're doing some flat welds, you can get away with it a bit hotter. You weld along, but then you want to do a vertical down around some box section or something, and you just need your settings changing. So it's really useful to have 2 settings set up, one for your flat, one for your vertical, and you can quickly just press the next job, fly down the side, and then set it back again without going back to the machine. So it is pretty handy. I didn't go for that on the TIG. It was an option. I didn't go for it on the TIG because, to be honest, I think with TIG, I wasn't very happy with their button configuration with the Job Master torch. There was quite a few fiddly little buttons, and you know, when you're trying to TIG weld and you've got it in positions like this or like this, or the button's never going to be in the right place. Fiddly buttons just aren't going to work. So I went for this trigger, which is just the extended long trigger. I just like one button on my TIG torch, on or off. That's all I like. And it's also got the Bluetooth pedal in there for it if you do want a bit more control of the amps. This is allegedly these interchangeable heads. I've only got one hand at the moment, so I can't really show you, but these interchangeable heads, you push that down, you can twist it round, and that head will pop out, and you can just pop in another one. There's a million different options, long ones, thin ones. This is a flexi head. One thing I was a bit annoyed about, I purposely asked for this flexi head, which should allow you to use standard like WP17 consumables. Like I've got quite a few of these Furic cups, posh cups like that. So I didn't want to go and buy all new Fronius cups because I've got a box full down there, as you've seen, of standard stuff. So this was meant to fit the standard parts. Straight away, day one I got it, I tried to fit this heat shield in order to fit the Furic cups. It wouldn't go on at all. I tried, I had Fairy Up liquid on there trying to push it on, it just would not happen. And I ended up having to file out this heat shield in order to get it to fit onto that torch, so I wasn't too pleased about that. This is actually the 300, is it there? Yes, the 300 amp torch, I think, which is the smaller body. I kind of regretting going for that. It does feel a bit small in your hand, so yeah, light stuff, but when you start doing the pipe work and stuff, I'm a bit wishing I'd have gone for the 400 amp torch. The only thing with that is you couldn't have this long trigger attachment with the with the standard larger torch. This longer trigger only came with the mini torch, and that's why I went for that. I've also had the extended trigger put on the MIG torch. Oh, this has got a little light, by the way, which seems like a little gimmick, but I was using it the other day and it is quite handy. Like, it was when I was making these sheet metal parts for the Fronius. I was trying to see where my tabs and my slots went together with my mask on, and I couldn't quite see them, but the second you tap that and you get that little bit of light, I could see where the tabs and slots were, so where I was going to weld. So yeah, nice little feature. I do think this is a trigger attachment, a long trigger attachment I've had, and it's a bit flimsy, I'll be honest. Considering they're meant to be so brilliant, these Fronius torches and stuff, that is a bit flimsy for me. I compare it to these Binzel Abbey MIG torches. Now these things are absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend these torches enough. If you need a standard Euro connection torch, I think they do them in Fronius as well, but if you need a standard MIG torch, I would highly recommend going for one of these. This has got the long neck on it as well, which I find, I've only got one hand, but it's really useful for putting the neck in 2 fingers and keeping your hand way down out the way here with the extended trigger. It's really controllable, especially when you're going around pipes and things like that. Highly recommended. That's a water-cooled one. There's an air-cooled one there, both brilliant. I kind of wish I'd have gone for a Euro fitting on the Fronius, to be honest, and had those on. The only reason I couldn't do that is I couldn't have the electronic job masters, so that's why we've gone for that. What else have we got with it? I've ordered this, which is just a little remote, so you can keep that in your other hand when you're stick welding, and just tweak the amps up and down. I haven't tried it yet, but I think that'll be really useful when we start doing the pipe welding tutorials. Being able to drop your amps off when things start getting a bit out of control. So yeah, nice little toy that. What else have we had on this? What else have we had? I think that's kind of it externally. Yes, as I've said, we've also got the Bluetooth pedal. I had a little bit of a play with that the other day. Did a quick stainless job for somebody. That worked quite nicely. Nice not having any wires attached to it. It connected no problem. And then on to what we've had on the machine, I think, process-wise. So this is all a bit new to me. However, I do have a TPSI down there, so I do know my way around a Fronius a little bit. So welding processes. So we have TIG, stick, cellular stick for rods like your 6010s, 7010s, things like that. Yet to try that. Interested to see what that turns out like. Then we've got pulse, synergic pulse, standard synergic, PMC, LSC, and just standard MIG. LSC, low spatter control. I believe that's just it's a normal MIG process, really, like a short circuit transfer, and if it gets turn it up a bit hotter, more like a spray transfer, but allegedly low spatter control. We'll see how that turns out in a few more videos. PMC. Now this, from what I can gather, is a mixture of pulse and short circuit transfer MIG. It goes pulse, short circuit, pulse, short circuit, pulse, short circuit. And the idea is you're meant to be able to weld vertical up without having to manipulate your torch like you would normal MIG. I tried it the other day on some 10mm, but I didn't mess with the settings. I just set it to 10mm, PMC, vertical up, and I pressed the trigger and went up. And I'll be honest, it made a complete mess of it. So I'll hold judgment on that for now. I'll play around with the settings, see if it's something I'm doing wrong. Didn't really perform too well for me the other day. And another thing about that is, sometimes I think about these Froniuses and I think, are they just a master of marketing? This PMC they've come up with here, I think I've got the exact same thing on that Lorsch over there. That Lorsch is 3 years old. This is only the wire feed unit up here, the power source is buried under there. But this has got a function called speed up, and it basically does the exact same thing as that PMC does on that Fronius. This is 3 years old and it's half the price of that. So are they just reselling something that already exists? Well, we'll do a comparison between the two and we'll see, is it anything special? And we'll go from there. I also I've had an offer off Fronius that they're going to send an engineer out to walk through this machine with me and to tell me all the hidden menus, teach me how to use it properly. So maybe after I've had a word with him, I understand the machine a bit better and I'll be able to show you its full functionality. Maybe make some better use of this PMC. TIG welding. I was doing TIG welding the other day, and I have to admit, this function here, it's got something called cycle TIG. Cycle TIG is not enabled there, but that's like a pulse on and off feature of the TIG. And I just had a quick mess around on some stainless, and I did a freehand bit, or just a few dabs on about 2mm stainless. And then I turned this cycle TIG on, and I have to admit, my runs were so much straighter, and the ripple profile so much more uniform with that cycle TIG enabled. So I'm looking forward to experimenting with that a bit more and seeing what benefits that gives me. It's also got a tacking function. I cannot for the life of me figure out how to turn it on, but I imagine that'll be quite a useful feature, because even when I'm doing quite heavy plate work, 10mm plate, etc., I sometimes use I have a lot of laser cut 10mm plates with the tab and slot feature, so they just fit together like jigsaws. I quite often use the TIG welder, the miller over there, just on a high power burst for tacking things into position. They're only small tacks, and they're only made just to hold it there for just while you get the thing assembled, and then you'll follow up with some decent MIG tacks. But that could turn out to be quite a useful function, because allegedly it makes two different waves of electricity and it causes the two bits of metal to merge towards each other, something along them lines. So yeah, that's another thing we're going to investigate and see how well that works. Haven't messed with the AC side of this yet. If you watch the Fronius videos, it has got a lot of AC functions, different waveforms and cap shape, tungsten shaping, so you can press a button and it balls the end of your tungsten up for you. All good if it works, and it's all things that we'll be looking into in future videos, seeing how well this thing performs. But I think that's pretty much it for this video now. I just wanted to give you a quick walk around the Fronius, quick introduction to my channel, and hopefully we can make some more content and you'll come back and view more of it. And if there's anything you'd like to see from this machine, please put it in the comments. Put it in the comments and I'll try and make a video on it. We're working on a camera to get some decent arc shots to bring you some good content. It's all new to us at the moment, but bear with us. And we're going to put this baby through its paces and see what we get from it. So yeah. Okay guys, so I know you're going to be a bit disappointed if you don't see this baby welding during this first video. So I'm just going to do a couple of basic little welds. I'm not going to play around with the settings too much. We're just going to set it to what it says, say 10mm MIG pulse, do a run. We're not going to change any of the settings. We're going to see how it performs straight out of the box. And then I might just get a quick piece of 2-inch pipe and do maybe a cap with the TIG around a 2-inch pipe. Just a quick little intro into how it welds. I'm not going to go too in depth because, like I've said, we're still working on the arc shot cameras. We haven't mastered that yet, and I don't want to give you rubbish content. I want you to be able to see right up in the arc shot. So I'm going to save the main welding videos for future videos, but I'm just going to do a quick couple now just to show you how this runs. Okay, so set up on the bench, I've just got a couple of bits of 50x8mm flat bar set up in a T-joint, mill scale removed. First run I'm going to do, I've just got the machine set to pulse synergic, not mess with the settings, set it to 8mm, let's see what it does. Just going to do a single run, might do a multi-run, I haven't decided yet. We're going to see how well it does on pulse, then we're going to let that cool. We'll do the other side of the T in the PMC. See if we can get that thing to go uphill. Stand by. Well, considering we haven't tweaked any of the settings, that run pretty nice. I'll try and get a better shot of that in a minute, but nice and straight, it's wetted into the toes, no spatter whatsoever. And like I say, that's before we've played with any of the settings. Let's try PMC on the other side. Okay, we're set for PMC. We've got a vertical up fillet. Something told me to turn this down a bit. I've turned it to 6mm rather than 8, even though we're on 8mm plate. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, okay, I take it back. PMC works. That's gone up there pretty nice. A bit of spatter, but nothing we can't fix. It really has rippled up there, it's tied in nice. However, I don't think, I'll try again on some thicker steel. I don't think you're going to get much bigger of a weld than that with that setting. I don't think you can start putting in 12mm fillets and stuff with that setting. That was the pulse, single run pulse that we did in the flat position. That was the vertical up PMC. Not bad, actually. I reckon with a few more tweaks of the settings, we can really get that dialed in. Okay, next, just going to do some LSC, low spatter control, using that 50mm box section, 50-53, onto that 8083. Okay, this one's just some 8083 box with some 5053 box tacked on there. I'm going to use the low spatter control now, the MIG process, low spatter control, and see if it has low spatter. I've got this set on 2.8mm thick, even though it's 3mm. Again, experience says just go down a touch. Not bad. I'll give you a look at that in a second. I'm just going to tap one on the other side and try using the pulse on something a little bit thinner like this 3mm. Okay, we're set up with the pulse now, 2.8mm. See how this goes. Okay, considering we haven't really changed any settings, played with any settings, that has come out pretty impressive. I'm quite pleased with that. That is the LSC, low spatter control. I did give it a little bit of a whip manipulation when I was welding that to try and get some ripples in it. But as you can see, it's wrapped the corners nice. It's really tied in. And very little spatter. There is a bit there, but very little. Usually on a short circuit process that'd be covered, that'd need a good chiseling to get all that spatter off. So that's LSC, quite impressed. Pulse on the thin stuff. Again, tied in really nice. No spatter at all. It was just hot enough that at 2.8mm. I think 3mm would have been too hot, even though it is 3mm material. So sometimes, especially when you're doing cosmetic welds, it's you're okay to turn it down a bit. It's not structural. Yeah, pretty impressed with that. Okay guys, we've got a quick bit of a 6G setup here. That's about some 70mm pipe, something like 3-inch pipe, something like that. About a 6mm wall. Just got it tacked up real quick with about a 3.5mm gap. The 3mm rod just rattles in there, and that's what I'm going to be using for my root pass. 3.2mm wire. I've got the machine set on just normal TIG, 93 amps. yeah, not messing around with it too much, just throw something in there, see how it goes. Yeah, watch this space. So we've just finished this TIG weld. I've just been round it with a file around the edges. Did get a little bit of undercut. Probably should have waited for it to cool down before I capped it. Yeah, it's not performed too badly. The roots in there. Struggling to see there. We did get the root round there. Yeah, performed quite nicely. I've got to say, wasn't too keen on this trigger. It didn't seem to be in the right place for me when I wanted it. One advantage is you don't have to use this end button. You can push the end with your thumb, which helped a bit, but yeah, a little bit to be desired on the trigger there, I think. But all in all, performed okay. Okay, that about wraps it up for today. Thank you for tuning in to the first one from UKFUSION. I hope you've enjoyed the introduction into the Fronius iWave 400 Multiprocess Pro. I think it's performed really well. I'm quite impressed with how it's done straight out of the box, factory settings. The low spatter control did exactly what it should, no spatter left behind. The PMC went up that vertical joint, no problem whatsoever. So yeah, really impressed, and I think with a bit more getting to know the machine, a bit more tweaking, tuning, we really can get some impressive welding out of that thing. If there's anything you'd like to see, any processes, welding positions, materials, let me know in the comments and we'll try and make some videos to suit. And do me one more favour as well, just hit the subscribe button, and that way you won't miss out on any future content that we put up. So again, I hope you've enjoyed that one. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.